I've always enjoyed using Linux Mint. With Linux Mint, I have choices, and that's what Linux is all about. You have different desktop environments. You have Cinnamon, XFCE. My personal favorite is Mate because at this point in time, I have chosen not to use the Wayland display driver because for me, it's just not ready. I tried experimenting with Wayland with the latest Ubuntu as a daily driver, and it kept freezing up the system. So clearly, at least for some of us, maybe many of us, maybe Wayland is just not ready. However, if you are a fan of Ubuntu and Fedora, well, in the future releases, you will not have a choice. It's either use these systems with Wayland or move on to something else. Kind of against the philosophy of Linux. At least that's what you guys have been telling me over all these years. And I've been using Linux, different forms of Linux, since 2006. And I have found it in many ways to be better than the current Windows operating system, although I still dual boot. And with dual booting, I get the best of both worlds. But with today's Wayland, you apparently get more security at the cost of functionality. And we've talked about OBS features. Some OBS features don't work, accessibility, and much more. This is 2025. Why do we have to suffer that way? Can you imagine if Microsoft released a new display driver? Hey, it's brand new, but you are losing some accessibility, some features, some functions. We would all probably make fun of this. Why can't we have both? And this is probably where Xlibre just might be the future of Linux for all this. I don't know. This is pure speculation, but I believe Xlibre 25.0, an inaugural version of the x.org server fork. Maybe this is the answer to, have both security, increased security, updated security, and functionality. Now, I will not read all of this. I will have a link for this below in the show notes. But when I see this, I'm reminded of the song again of Paul Simon, Me and Julio down by the schoolyard. Some of you have heard of it. Just search Me and Julio down by the schoolyard. And it's about two kids basically in the schoolyard getting in some kind of trouble with the law. And maybe it's just mischief or just kids being kids. And this is what I think about with all this drama in today's Linux world. Just adult kids just being, I don't know, just being goofy. Linux is all about choice. And sure, you don't have to use Ubuntu or Fedora or anything that is based off of Wayland, that runs Wayland. But I don't think that's the true heart of philosophy of Linux, right? And I think Xlibre should be given a chance. Look, it could be argued that both, Wayland and Xorg are both too old. Xorg is about 40 years old, X11, and Wayland closing in on 20 years old. In this technological world, that's old. The main difference is that X11 doesn't seem to break anything, at least not that I've seen, and not freeze up my system where Wayland does. I think we can do better. And maybe Xlibre is the answer. Why not give it a chance? I don't know if there are any current Linux-based systems for you to try this. Those of you who use Linux exclusively, let me know. I am curious.